This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released December 9th, 2018. Episode 419. Feels over Reels.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Hey, nerd.
Hey, nerd. What's going on?
I believe you're broadcasting from the magnificent podcasting room at, where is it, M-Hub?
M-Hub, yeah. I don't know if I should be giving that much cred to this place if this is their podcasting room. Yeah, it sounds like I'm in a inside the air conditioning, but no, it's...
And
hopefully people listening don't care or won't know about it. But
this is the dedicated podcasting room.
Well, sort of. I mean, it's
Kinda.
It's the small room that they didn't know what else to do with. It's also the photography room and the video room.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right. So
right,
they
right.
shoved a microphone in there.
Space is a premium here, you know?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was a huge, enormous place.
It is, but like, a space that they can't charge for. That's the main thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
But don't you get, like you pay your monthly fee and you get access to everything? What's the...
You do, yeah. But it's like,
you're
this is
talking
like
about
effectively like an
your
office
own-
that can't be sold as an office, you know?
Got it,
So
okay.
finding privacy at a shared space, the downside
Right.
to shared spaces, the upside to shared spaces is you get access to everything. The downside to shared spaces is everybody else does too.
Yeah,
And then
right.
the other problem is that it's just people, people are just loud,
Oh,
you know?
humans. Yeah, I hate humans.
And
yeah,
then
don't
some
I?
people happen to live in Australia, so it's 3 p.m. when we're recording, so you know how it
Right,
goes.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be going home to my apartment to
Right.
record right now. Yeah, so that's
So,
a
how
small
much
bit
do you
about stuff
pay-
that's not important, you know?
How much do you pay for your own little officey thing? Because you've got your own dedicated desk,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah, so
yours. No one else can,
That's right. Yeah, I pay $400 a month for the shared space,
Yep.
like a shared desk and space and all that other stuff.
Oh, so it is a shared desk.
Well, no, the desk is mine.
Oh,
and
right,
then
okay.
so there's I probably got 1 or 2 square meters of space total with
Right.
storage
Yep.
and drawers and all the other stuff. Like any other desk
Sure.
at a shared workspace.
Yep.
And then I have a rolling cart, and I think I've shown you a picture. That's where I keep my lab effectively. I move my whole
Right.
lab over from my
Yep.
apartment, and now I just roll out my lab when I need it.
So is that your idea, or does everyone do you get a rolly
No,
thing?
no, I had to pay for that too. So that's
Oh,
another
okay.
$70. Yeah.
Oh, right. A
Yeah.
month? Or...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Oh, okay. Right. And they store it in a rolly area?
Yeah, it's
or...
actually if you've ever so you go to an assembly house. So this place used to be an assembly house,
Right.
and it was basically when they would set up jobs. When Motorola was here, they'd set up jobs. They would basically
carts,
preset. Yeah, so all the carts would have your feeders on it, would have the parts
Uh-huh.
loaded, everything like that, and then you just kind of roll it out, load up the machine, and go.
Right.
And that's what they stuck around from that. So now I
Cool.
use that as a so it's anti-static and all that other
Well,
stuff.
that totally makes sense. I mean, you can do a lot in a couple of square meters. I mean, my old lab
yeah.
was 4 square meters, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's
Right, and then that's not even speaking of the fact that I can roll. I'm basically looking for places to store stuff and then kind of spread out as I need to
yeah.
when I'm actually working on things. Still haven't gotten the video recording piece down, but
Right.
TBD.
So, do you have a storage facility as well?
No, that's it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, that's it.
So I'm actually forced to throw stuff out, unlike some people.
Right. Well, no, I've been starting to
Yeah.
get
How's
rid of some
the
stuff.
Great Purge going?
Oh well, it's a slow purge.
Yeah.
It's a slow. It's
Slow
slow
but great,
turn
slow
of
but great.
the release
Yeah.
valve.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So how's it going?
Everything's still in boxes here.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not I've been here how many weeks now in the new lab, and I haven't taken stuff out of the boxes yet. It's like moving into a new house. You just
Yeah,
like a
got it.
year later, 2 years later.
Yep.
Everything's in boxes in the garage, which
Yeah.
is pretty unproductive. I have sort of started to sort the odd thing, but I haven't, really. Just the simple fact, the one thing I have done, because I use them a lot, is the leads, right? All your banana plug to banana plug,
Oh, yeah,
banana
yeah,
plug
yeah.
to alligator clip, all that. I've got those sorted out and hanging on the thing, and just that saves you so much time, and sorting out the different types of those saves so
Yeah.
much time. It's, yeah.
That's a good idea. You know, that's one thing that I still haven't gotten a real. Right now I've used like Tupperware. You know, I say I bundle them up together, so
You
like red
bundle
and
them
black
up together and whack it, but then they're all tangled up and everything, and so.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to basically leave some room in there so it's not like as jam packed as possible.
Yeah, at the moment I don't have special hooks. I've just got them dangling over the different levels of shelves. So I've got three different, three shelf level, and I dangle them over the corner of that, and it's okay for now until I get something permanent.
I remember at one of my past jobs, they would use like there was like network cable like
Those
things that help you organizers.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that would work okay as like a way to kind of organize as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. I need that because then I need my because I at the moment I've only got my like banana and alligator clips sorted. I don't have like coax cables sorted and coax to other adapters and that sort of stuff sorted. So they're sort of in the oddball boxes and. Yep.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, like it's interesting too, like seeing about like what you actually use every day versus what you use, that once in a while thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was talking to someone about the 3D printer I have, right? And it's like that same thing about like it's midnight and you really need to start doing something, and like I could send it off to a 3D print service. But it'd be nice to actually start a 3D print at that point. It's like one of those things where it's like, but the rest of the time, that 3D printer is probably going to just kind of sit idle.
Exactly, it sits there, does nothing. Yeah.
The cost of just having that thing to be idle is pretty high, but sometimes it's worth it. That's the same argument for etching boards or anything else, or having like a really specialized piece of test equipment too.
The price in quote marks is high when you're limited for space, especially like you are.
Yes.
And even I've got 100 square meters. I'm still limited for space. There's only so much bench space.
You still have to make a choice at some point, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Because a 3D printer takes up a lot of bench space and stuff like that, and then you've got to have it properly hooked up to a PC somewhere, and that's probably not near your regular PC. So it's just annoying. Like me, I haven't set up my soldering and inspection bench yet, right? So I can't do video inspection of anything. I just had to get my Mantis scope and just sort of, temporarily hook it up to the bench so that I could actually use it, so I could look at something. It's really annoying. And then when you've got microscopes and stuff like that, you need dedicated PCs to do that, especially like me if you're capturing video. Doing something like that, right?
Okay.
All that's got to be set up. The last thing you want is to be cobbling together a microphone and a capture card and everything's either it's set up or it's not, and then if it's not, you just won't even bother using it. So it's got to be
that's true, and then
up.
that just sits there then, right? I mean,
and then it just sits there. Yeah.
Right.
Well, at my old lab, it was the lab PC, so that was more convenient. But here,
I see.
Because I've got my office in the same thing, it's not going to... Well, it might still be the lab PC, as in, like, controls instruments on the lab or does whatever, does microscopes or maybe live shows if I ever get my live channel back. If I ever get approval. I told you I was banned, from live shows.
But, I mean, why were you banned?
I was banned. YouTube banned me because they I got a strike on my second channel.
I have theories, but
right. I got a strike on my second channel because I uploaded a video completely innocently on the second channel of how to use your NAS box to download YouTube videos.
Oh, like a network attached storage?
Yeah, a network attached storage, a RAID NAS box, right? So I found a way to do that. And of course, it was an instructional how-to video, and I need to legally download YouTube videos for my debunkings and other critique videos, right, for fair use purposes. Yet they thought that's instructional content on teaching people how to pirate material. So therefore, we're going to strike your channel. And no live streaming for you, sir, for the next 3 months, or any channel that you're associated with.
Wow. Busted,
so technically, if I went on somebody else's live channel, like if I joined in somebody else's live stream or something, they could shut down all of my channels. Because as part of the terms and conditions, you are not allowed to circumvent the live streaming ban by using another channel.
They're like, we don't want to see your stupid face on any of our live things, regardless.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just nuts.
That's extreme.
Yep.
Yeah, getting into it with the YouTube folks, huh?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Anyway, just this morning, just like 2 seconds before the show, I won my copyright claim against
saw that. Yep.
Yeah, French TV company. They can shove it up their ass. Yep. Sorry.
Oh, good for you, man.
Swear word. Does that get our podcast changed to another level?
We've actually been explicitly listed for a long time. I know that as an
Really?
Aussie, you have a different standard of that than I do, but I figured it was just easier.
What service? Oh, you voluntarily listed it.
I voluntarily listed it, yeah. So we are listed as explicit and everything.
Explicit! Come on.
It's just easier,
that's
man. We have
ridiculous.
guests that come on, and sometimes they want to swear, and that's fine. Like I as a practice, I swear like a sailor myself, but like as a practice, I don't, because we've had people say that they listen in the car with their kids, their poor kids.
Right.
I'm sorry, children, if you're listening right now.
Subjected to us.
Uncle Chris and Uncle Dave are just angry old electronics people. I actually feel really bad when people are like, yeah, like whenever we're driving somewhere, like, me and my partner listen, and my partner's not into electronics at all, but they're very nice and they listen too, and I'm just like, oh man,
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
I'm so
Apologies.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Yep. I have to frequently apologize in person, to said partners. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yes, I get that all the time. I listen, I can't help but listen to you,
Right, exactly. You're on in the background, man.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, boy. Anyway.
Cool. So what's been going on?
What's been going on? I almost set the fire alarm off.
Oh, I saw your video. You
I
did
just
a 120 to
released that.
240, huh?
Yeah.
So
The old Weller soldering iron.
So how often do you check that? I always wonder about that. Like, I don't really have to think about it. I always think about the IEC. Like, whenever I see an IEC plug like you had on that Weller soldering iron, I always just assume that it has a internal transformer switcher like SMPS or something. But I guess not.
Well, the problem is you live in America. You live in a 120 volt. Is it 120 or 110 officially over there?
Or
does it vary?
It does vary. I think 120. One of them's like the RMS voltage.
Right.
And one's something else. I don't know.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, 120. Man.
Yeah, but you're saying that like if I plug in a 240 thing here, which
It
are less
doesn't matter.
prevalent anyways,
Yeah,
it's just
you're
gonna
not
not blow up.
Yeah, exactly. You plug it in here, it's it's a bit of an issue. So like buying used test gear on eBay and stuff like that is a pain in the butt, because a lot of test gear cannot be switched, or it has to be modified at the PCB level. I've done the odd video on that, modifying some eBay test gear to work here and stuff like that. But stuff like soldering irons, they're fixed.
Yep.
They're fixed transformer, almost all of them.
Yeah,
And,
I think it's good to and that's why it's good to watch your video too. I think it's like when you look inside a soldering, there's not much there. It's basically a FET. It's a transformer to take it down.
It's an SCR. So they use an SCR.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, they use an SCR to switch the AC. That's why.
So they're not even rectifying it then. Okay.
No.
And then it's just a heating element at the end, and then a thermocouple, and then you just turn the SCR on and off, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's pretty damn simple. And that's also like how electric kettles work. That's also how like slow cookers work. That's like it's very very common, right?
Well, some of them have like the digitally ones have some smart
Sure. My Instant Pot is a little bit smarter,
right?
yes.
But a little bit smarter, but generally no. It's basically just an SCR and yep, and a AC transformer.
Are you using SCRs much or no?
Oh, not really, but they're still the thing if you want to just power something, control the power to something simple like a heating element. I mean, geez, it doesn't, like an AC transformer, because you get AC from your mains, right? So why not? It's cheap and simple and super reliable to just use the transformer to convert that to a lower voltage AC and then use an SCR, and it's basically just one part. And that's it. So you don't have to then convert the AC into DC and then you DC to AC conversion or do whatever, or it's like it's just infinitely easier just to use the fact that you've got AC available, and then just switch it with an SCR, and then just control the duty cycle of your waveform going to your element or your light bulb or something like that,
Easy
or your
peasy.
motor, something like that, motor control, stuff like that, drills.
Drills,
like
really?
that.
I thought modern drills were doing other stuff. I thought they did like phase control.
Maybe I'm talking old school drills, old school variable drills. Just use an SCR and Okay, I might be 30 years out of date. But, you know.
I wouldn't know. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, why would I've never opened those things up because,
I
first off,
wouldn't
I
know
usually
either,
need
you
my
know,
drill, you know, like.
It's been the 1970s, you know. Since
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yes.
Cool.
So yes, I accidentally plugged it in because, as I said, the lab's not set up. So I needed a second soldering iron. So I just reached into the box of all the soldering crap that we had. Oh, that Weller will do. You know, took it out, just plugged it in, and within seconds, smoke was billowing out. I mean, like, whoa, thick as.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Hi to all my New Zealand viewers.
What?
Viewers.
Thick as?
Hi to all our New Zealand listeners. Thick as.
Yeah.
Thick as, bro. Sorry. Meh. No, I can't do a New Zealand accent. Can't do it.
That's okay.
Yeah. Fish and chops. No. Anyway, the smoke came out thick as at the bottom, just a huge blanket of smoke billowing. Huge blanket of smoke coming out.
Right.
And
when I was looking at you when you opened it up too, it was like that was the enamel coating melting off.
it was spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to that video, Dave. You basically said it's broken, and then it showed the inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I did. That's probably the last thing I expected was this transformer, melting down. Basically, all the enamel insulation on the wires just melting. It's like, kind of expected it to be a bit more robust than that. I expect twice the voltage on the secondary side, right?
Uh-huh.
So I expected something on the secondary side to blow. Right,
Yeah,
so that's
like
why
a fuse or something would.
Well, it
blow
did actually. A fuse did, but it actually started like it worked. The display was flashing. It was doing something when I had it plugged on, and but nothing on the secondary side blew at all. The secondary side works fine, and it was the primary side that just melted down. And it's got to be like the core actually saturated. This is the most likely scenario: is that the core. And if you don't know, when a magnetic core of a transformer or an inductor saturates, it ceases to become an inductor, or it becomes less effective in inductor, and it becomes basically a DC resistant, like a coil. The DC resistance of the coil of wire.
Yeah.
And do the calculations on that. 100 ohm primary across 240 volts or whatever. That's chewing quite a bit of power that it has to dissipate, and it just melted. It's melted, and I'm talking within seconds. I'm not talking like leaving it there for minutes. So it just slowly warmed up and heated up. This was like within 5 or 6 seconds, it was all over Red Rover, and I was yanking out the IEC lead on the back. And as it turns out, it's not fused on the primary, so it can essentially dump an unlimited power. You can, because, a PowerPoint's capable of delivering more than 2,400 watts here in Australia anyway, right? I've got a 16 amp fuse, right? So it's capable of delivering 240 volts times 16 amps before the fuse the main, fuse box.
Right, before
fuse
the circuit breaker blows.
Yeah, circuit breaker starts to even think about blowing, right? And all that energy can be dumped into that poor little transformer, and, Yeah, and the thing is, it's probably a cascading failure, because when that enamel insulation melts, then the windings of the transformer start maybe shorting together, and then that lowers the resistance again. More power is delivered, more enamel short.
Right, it's like a runaway.
And it just snowballs. It's a thermal runaway. Yeah, and it just destroyed that poor little primary.
I mean, could it have been that like one of the primary windings had a weak?
It could have been. It may have
place?
started in a week, and that's what I've seen in traditional transformer failures before. I've seen like blow-throughs and things like that, where you'll see like a burn mark, but this thing just like melted down like fairly evenly top and bottom.
Yeah.
It was So, but it may have started like that, and that who knows? Or but the primary, the secondary side fuse actually popped, so maybe that had some kickback effect to the so it was probably maybe just surviving for a few seconds until the secondary side fuse actually popped, and then that kicked back to the primary somehow and upset the apple cart, and the primary just thermal runaway. So
it's weird that wouldn't be part of like CE testing in the first place too. You'd think like that's a pretty I guess not common thing, but
Well, I've raised the question. I just released a video, so I haven't looked at comments yet. But I've raised the question, like, is this legal to have a non-fused primary transformer? Is it illegal in any country? You almost think it's got to be, right? Because even
I'm trying to think of like, well, I guess I can look up schematics and
like-
stuff.
Because if there's any overload failure like this, or if there's any breakdown in the transformer, there's nothing to stop all that energy being dumped on into the transformer and the thing catching alight. Nothing. That's what a fuse is for, designed to stop these gross overloads. I think it's a huge design flaw. And a lot of transformers, sure enough, if you want to save some cost and you don't want to have the external wiring with the fuse holder and everything else, that's fair enough. That's why a lot of companies, especially in little plug packs and things like that, right? Little mains, wall wart plug packs, where they don't have room for a big external fuse, right? Because they're all molded and everything. You get the fuse actually built into the winding of the primary on the transformer.
So it'll just short to, right?
It'll
just like have
actually
inline.
It's in inline fuse as part of the winding. You can ask your transformer manufacturer to include an inline embedded fuse, and usually it's like a large value, so it's very unlikely to blow in regular use or little surges.
And so it'd be like a one-time thing as well. So if
it's
it blows,
a one-time thing.
It's
Yeah,
over.
no, you've got to you cannot repair it, you cannot replace it because you've got to. It's embedded inside the windings and all the insulation tape and everything else. It's all in there, so you can't really repair a fusible transformer, but those are very common. In fact, they might even be mandatory inside plug packs. Does anyone know? I'm
just trying to think of like, I mean, fuses are normally secondary side or normally primary side?
No, they've got to be primary side because that's where the energy is.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but in this case, the Weller had extensive secondary side protection. The designers were really thinking there. It was like, it had a fuse on the PCB, then it had another fuse on the output of the transformer. That one is the only one that blew. And then it had a poly switch, a massive poly switch in series with the fuse as well. So they had 3 layers of protection on the secondary, not a single layer of protection on the primary. It's nuts. It's almost as if the system, like the PCB designer, everyone else,
right.
got
They
the
knew
secondary
what
side,
they were getting
right?
from the transformer provider.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we got to make sure.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going to make sure this is a nice solid product, and it was.
Yeah.
It survived. Great.
Yeah.
But then whoever was in charge of the primary side went, we can shave a few cents off.
Yeah.
We don't need a fuse. She'll be right. So and this is Weller. This is not some eBay special, right? Weller have been around for 60 years or something.
Crazy. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Anyway, thank you. Like, imagine if I just plugged it in, turned my back, and walked out to the bathroom or something, right?
Yeah.
The whole place would have filled with smoke. It could have been, fire, everything else. It could have,
Yeah.
nuts.
We could be talking to the ghost of Dave Jones right now.
Or at least a very poor Dave Jones just outside staring at a building on fire and wondering if
I
his
only
insurance
saved my
is up to date. Oh, God. It could happen one day. I could do the video of shame where I'm out the front with the fire engines attending, and that was me.
Right. There's your April Fool's joke right there, Dave.
Yeah, right.
Too real.
Yeah. The Altium lab burns down. Is that the Altium building burns down? Is that the next?
Yeah, that's
right.
the one.
Yeah. Anyway, please let us know, listeners, if you know, for sure, don't go, that's illegal. Give us the legislation or whatever, point us to it that is it illegal to have a non-fused primary in any product these days? Anyway, not happening.
Definitely.
Thumbs down to Weller. Next.
The one that I'm excited about that's on the list this week is this the LoRa SIP. Did you see that thing?
Nope.
So a little bit down, ultra low power LoRa SIP. This is kind of like, I'm personally interested in this because I've been trying some LoRa projects and stuff like that.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting just because, further integration of thing plus thing plus thing. In this case, it'd be like microcontroller plus. I guess there's not really any sensors in here, but this is basically pulling, pulling the radio in now too, and basically single chip solutions at this point. So in this case, it's a Cortex R0. I think.
And for those who don't know, that's what SIP stands for. It's System in Package.
That's right.
So, yep. It's a LoRa LAN system, which I've done a video on, and you've probably done some stuff on too.
Yeah.
And it's all that in a chip, is it?
Yeah. So the LoRaWAN is the stack, right? So that's actually the software layer. So in this case, it's like talking about the controller. So I'm guessing the microcontroller. So I'm actually getting one of these boards to try it out because I'm very interested in this. But so in this case, it has the microcontroller, it has the memory, enough memory there, and then it also has the radio on board, which is the key part here, right? So like previously, Semtech were the only people that had these radios because they actually bought out the company that made LoRa and then have commercialized, and they've owned the IP, but now they license it to Microchip too. And so that's kind of the big thing. They actually announced this at that conference I went to last February. They announced that they were doing something like this. It took them this long to actually get it out. This was
and there's an argument. There's a side argument here, which is in the first paragraph of the article, in that like it's supposed to be an open standard, but they're arguing like how open is the standard if like Semtech control the technology that goes into the radios.
Yeah,
like,
that has been the argument against it the entire time, I think.
Yep.
But I think it's also similar to the things we've talked about, like at what level does something stop being open, right? So it's kind of like that same thing. In this case, I was like, well, the radio, okay.
Even your most staunch open source hardware advocates, your absolute traditional ones, have to admit that there's, some things that are just, it's only available from one supplier, that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like,
yeah, and usually it starts like that. I mean, like even we look at like I2C started as a Motorola standard or Philips. Yeah, I always get that wrong. And yeah, I mean, like it's the same kind of thing. But if it's popular enough, then it basically other people start asking for it, and the companies pay to license it and that kind of thing.
Or they just call it 2-wire instead of I2C.
Or 2-wire, right? Exactly.
Yep.
So in this case, I mean, so I'm excited about it just because it's even smaller package. I mean, LoRa already was pretty low power. Cortex. I had not really used any Cortex R stuff, and I just recently learned what some of the differences were. Did you know that there's different families, A, R, and M, which are kind of related to ARM?
Nope.
Who was talking about? I don't remember what it was, but it was basically like there was like A is like the high power, R is like the middle power, I guess, and M is for mobile. So.
Right. I don't follow it that closely to know that sort of jazz.
But I guess this one is actually, I guess they're calling them different things. I don't know. It's a Cortex M0 Plus. So it's like, the same kind of thing that you see everywhere else. And like it's all abstracted anyways from software. So, I don't know. I'm just excited about this, like just doing like smaller and smaller nodes.
Right.
Because that's kind of obviously the trend that's going on, right? So I've been doing this where I've been working on a project where it was like, it had batteries, it had a separate module, it had a different chip. It was all kind of further and further apart. And now I could shrink down to 6x6 plus antennas and everything else. So
nice.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. So, and then like I still haven't done much for the Things Network. That's the one that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, the Things Network. That's the one you convinced me to go, it's easy. Just buy this kit and it'll work. And it didn't work because I'm in Australia. That's
why it didn't work?
No, it didn't work.
I figured it's because it was software based, and you were like, "Oh, okay."
No.
So what was being? I thought there was stuff being used on the street.
Oh, well, no, they were cobbled together. It wasn't like they were all hacked together. Like to get my supposedly off the shelf solution my expensive off the shelf solution working, we needed a custom recompile of the whole OSy thing or something. And, some people offered to do it and things like that, which was very nice. But, it just ruined the whole experience for me. You were telling me and other people were telling me,
you thought it was just going to be plug and play kind of thing.
And plug and play. And I had these sensors on this, low power network. I thought that'd be cool. And then people came in and just started, no, you've got to do this, as if it's like trivial sort of stuff that they were talking about. It wasn't. Was talking about like recompiling the bloody kernel and, Like, that's when, my eyes just rolled in the back of my head.
Not very
gave up.
Dave friendly type things, right? Yeah.
No, it's not. No, because that stuff doesn't interest me.
Well,
Well, it might. It could potentially. If I had a need for it, but I just wanted to play around with, a thing. I just wanted to play around, and then, hey, that's cool, and then go on to something else. And I don't want to spend a month learning the intricacies of a system and how to recompile kernels, and silly. Even like, and someone very kindly offered to come out to the lab and do it. It might be good for him. I'm
just saying, to have to.
Yeah, it could be, but I've got so many things to do that I can't just spend weeks on something like that. So, yep. Unfortunately, as much as I'd like, there's so many things I'd love to have an infinite amount of time to spend time on, right? And hack around with. I don't mind doing that, but ultimately, I've got to make a living. And there's so many things I'm interested in. I want to
make your business.
Get on to something else. We've done our business episode. It's all good. Anyway, Laura Rand. Woo.
Yep. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to try and build something with this. So this is, so I think that's going to be interesting, just trying out this small chip.
Are you going to do something custom, like custom board with the chip, or are you just going to hack
So I'm getting the dev
kit?
kit to start with, but I'm going to try and build like an actual custom. So move along. Next thing.
And we've got Microsemi adding RISC processors to FPGAs. To the PolarFire?
Yeah.
What the hell is the PolarFire family FPGAs?
Yeah, they got their new families.
Yeah, but which manufacturer is it?
Microsemi. So there's four microcontroller, FPGA vendors. There's Altera / Intel, Xilinx. There's Lattice, and then there's Microsemi. They used to be Actel. Remember?
Oh yeah. Oh right. Of course. Right. Okay. If they just said Actel, I would have known. But anyway, I hadn't heard of the PolarFire, or if it was or if they used some other previous name that Actel have used, I would have known. But I hadn't heard of the PolarFire family. Okay, Actel. Yeah. Right. Got it. I'll probably still keep calling Actel for the next decade.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, just like Agilent or HP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Boy.
Yeah, so basically this is a new, this is one of the RISC-V chips. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I think we've cleared it up on here before, but if people don't know that RISC-V is actually it's the instruction set architecture. It's not an individual chip, right?
No, it's
like saying
same as ARM.
x86, right?
Well, RISC-V is a specific implementation of a RISC processor, of a generic RISC architecture. I mean, of a
RISC-based architecture, right? But
yes.
it defines the instruction set. So I believe that's right. The ISA, not the actual chip itself.
Well,
and someone is probably screaming at the radio right now. Sorry
exactly,
about that.
because RISC-V is a foundation. Like they control it all. So they're also in Lattice as well, I think. Lattice.
That's the thing. So like a lot of these, you could go and put these into custom logic, but I think now they're starting to design them in as hard logic.
Anyway,
I've been seeing so many more like FPGA things, but I still like I
Nothing's
struggle
changed.
I still struggle to tell people like what they should do as their first FPGA project. What would you tell someone?
Because it's pointless to flush lead. I think if you're going to go to FPGA, you need something that, is not really easily doable on a microcontroller, right? So I think you need some sort of, big paralleled thing, or some, like serial decoding, real-time serial decoding logic, or, something like that. I mean, sure, like if you just want to get up to speed with the tool chain, okay, you just get one of the, the dev kits or whatever, and they've, all the example code and stuff like that, and or you could run a soft core processor, but like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think if you're developing, so like say you wanted to build your own like small processor, right? You wanted to like make something from scratch. That would be a great way to do it, obviously.
Oh, of course, but how many people want to do that?
Right. Right. Right.
None. Right. It rounds down to zero. Pretty much.
Yes. Yeah. Rounds down. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. It is not 1%. Right. It's like it's on the low side of 1%. Like it's on the lower half of 0.5%. So it rounds down, I reckon.
I would think like so we had talked to James Bruton when he was on the show, like talking about like he had like a bunch of serial buses, right? Basically,
right,
he could.
That's a thing.
Yeah, he could implement like
sure.
a bunch serial buses.
Yes, if you needed like 5, I can remember back in the day that I needed like 4 or 5 serial ports or something. It was a lot of serial ports I needed, like a UARTs, a lot of UARTs, and I needed it all in the one micro. Like, and the only micro on the market was the Rabbit 2000.
What is that?
So I used the Rabbit 2000. I think
What is it, though?
I think it was the 2000. It's the Rabbit. It's its own architecture. It had its own very cool real-time operating system as well. It was very nice. I don't know if they're still going.
I think I've seen the they got bought by Digi International.
Who's Digi International?
I think they're the ones who do XB radios. Is that right?
Ah.
I think they're up in Minneapolis.
Yeah. So can you still buy the Rabbits? Can you still?
Yeah, apparently you can. I didn't know that.
There you go.
I didn't know what it was until just now. So yeah,
there you go. Rabbit 2000 processor. Yeah, so I implemented an entire project around this, a huge project around this Rabbit 2000 processor.
It's based off the original Z80 too. So
yes, it is. But but they wrote it from scratch. Like they wrote their own architecture. Yeah, but they designed their own CPU architecture, and it's a complete But yeah, it's similar. It has similar stuff to the Z80, and but yeah, no. The good thing about it was, as I said, like it came with its own real-time C operating system, which was so easy to use. Even a dummy like me could implement a real-time operating system. That had a proper real-time. Because back then, well, I think it's still the case these days. Real-time operating systems are third-party things. You've got to pay a lot of money for them. You can get them.
There's a bunch of open source ones now.
Oh well, yeah. There's open source. Back then, there was no such thing. I don't think there was such a thing as an open source one. And because I'm talking the late 90s, maybe something like that, early 2000s. Anyway,
right, you were just saying it's still the case. I don't think it's still the case.
Oh no.
So like Zephyr is like an example of like RTOS for IoT stuff, and
Yeah, but they're much more mature now. But like back then, if you wanted one, you bought one, right? And it cost thousands of dollars to buy a license for this, for a real-time operating system and stuff like that.
Right. Gene, what's his name, would sell you he would give you the book for free, but then sell you the real-time operating system.
Right. Yeah. But this just came with it. Like, and it was so simple. Like, all you did is like turn on a switch in the software or something, and it was like, boom, there it is, real-time OS. It was great.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, so it was all deterministic, and you had the deterministic timing and all the rest of it. So yeah, it was fantastic for a complex system that needed all these multiple serial ports, and there was interrupts coming in and whatnot, and processing all that different data. So anyway, that was pretty cool. And they came on these little modules. Like you could buy the chip, but it was actually a processor. It wasn't a microcontroller, so it needed external RAM. Did it have external RAM? I'm not sure. Anyway, but yeah, so you bought it as a module. You could buy the chip, but you just get a module and you plug it onto your board, and it had the SRAM on there, and the works. So, yep.
Nice. That's great.
Rabbit, hands up if you've used the Rabbit. Am I the only one in existence that used the Rabbit
surely
processor?
Someone else used it. Yeah.
They actually got up to that. Did they get up to that? What is it, the Rabbit 5000? Oh my goodness, I might have to go back to the Rabbit. I've still got some Rabbits lying around. Can still pull them from the boards, and wonder if it still works. Wonder if I can still compile the code. Oh, it was for a cable tester project, which I designed my own LCR meter module. It was a relay switching matrix module. It was a complete measurement system all in one, whereas before we had like a rack. We had a whole rack, and it had like Agilent LCR, Fluke LCR meters, Agilent insulation resistance test, high voltage insulation resistors testers, and all sorts of, and we all connected them all with GPIB and hooked it up to a PC. Well, we need to shrink that down into one small little can. So, yeah. So I needed something to control the whole kit and caboodle. And, yep, I did look at PC 104 standard. So, the little square form factor,
Right. Yeah, I think we mentioned that in the show before.
Yeah, I've done a video on that, which has been very popular. And, I thought, I was looking at that. I did experiment with that, and, it was like, it was a bit big, and, I don't know. I didn't want yet another PC platform, so I decided to go completely embedded with the Rabbit 2000. I think it just had enough memory at the time,
Nice.
But, yeah, anyway, it was cool.
That's good, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Projects
it
of
did work
yesteryear.
in the end, but I think we only ended up making a run of 10 of them. So,
okay.
After all that development, we'll make 10, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you, there was a link that came in from the tweet I'd sent out. This is from Mike's Electric Stuff. Let me send you a link here. This is about the basically them jailbreaking. There's replacement boards to like if you find a scooter on the street in a random city. Have you seen the electric scooters? Yeah, the electric scooters that are like popping up all over the states. Have you heard about that?
No.
Oh yeah. So there's all these terrible startups that are basically valued at gajillions of dollars for what is effectively scooter sharing. So they're electric scooters made by Xiaomi, and they have cellular modems on them, and then basically you scan a little barcode on them, and then it unlocks the drive on that, and then you can ride this electric scooter
as the GoGet service here. I tweeted the other week that I used a GoGet thing, and I've got this access card, and you swipe it on the front of the car, and it opens the car. The keys are already in the ignition, and you just drive it away. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's like, there's a lot of driver services like that here too, but that's a car-based one. That's
car-based. This is for scooters, yeah.
And when I say electric scooters, this is like a Razor scooter, but with like a hub motor on it.
Right. So do you return them to like charging stations, and you got to plug them in, or?
Oh, wow, I can't believe you haven't seen all the internet memes about how people are upset about this. Okay. So basically they litter the streets, and then basically at night the vans drive around, pick them up, and then go charge them.
Right.
And so this is what
so people just leave them lying around.
Oh, totally! Like they're like laying in the streets, they're on sidewalks,
so
they're just
how do
everywhere.
They find them? And they got like a GPS in them, and they can track them.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that's also how you know, like if you're near one. And so the same thing happens for bike share, right? So there's also like bike share where you can do the same thing, and it's just like cheapo lock, but that's actually pedal power instead of electric power.
Right. In electric
right. They have e-bikes now. It's like, so when I was out in Seattle, I rode an e-bike like that, which was awesome. But the same thing. At some point, someone's got to go and pick that thing up and charge it because there's no magical chargers there.
I am going to link you. I watched a video just last week about. Did you hear about the bike sharing problem in China?
Of course, yeah. Angus.
Yeah. Have you seen the photos?
Yeah. So Angus, one of the guys that works for Espressif, who lives down in Melbourne, he had actually written about it, and there's a bunch of pictures, just like the stacks and stacks and stacks. That's not a particularly new thing, but it's amazing to see, right?
It's incredible to see the photos of like literally tens of thousands of bikes stacked on top of each other.
Right. It's
they physically throw them into a big pile, and they build up thousands and thousands of them. And there's like 20 or 50 competing companies trying to make their bikes and trying to get their bikes to the top of the stack. Literally to the top.
A literal top of the stack. Yeah, right. I think it's the figurative top of the stack in that case. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the exact same service basically. A lot of the bike companies that were here are also doing scooters now, and so like Bird and Bird and Lime and like all these companies, they're like.
Right.
They've raised so much money. It's insane. It's like it's really stupid. But the scooters themselves cost like $600, and like, in terms of the parts that are internal to them, it's a bunch of basically in the stock that you hold on, like whatever you call, like the handles you hold on to. That's all just batteries through there. There's a controller board. There's a hub motor, and they're not particularly safe, but they are kind of cool. And so basically this link that Mike Harrison sent over was how to basically take one you quote unquote find, and and then you could repurpose it. You basically swap out the board and
but that's actually stealing. The company owns that. That is
an
technically
question.
theft.
I don't know how
I think
it works. Yeah, I don't know.
No, you can't just that's technically theft.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have seen an unofficial teardown happening after one was found. So.
Yep. Yeah, but the whole idea is that you can leave it anywhere.
Right.
Right.
And the whole problem is that people do. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're so cheap to the company, like they're buying them in bulk that they.
So then they're not going to pursue you for stealing one of their things if you do a teardown video, take one and do a teardown video of it and modify it or whatever. I'm sure they're not going to come after you, but technically, you're stealing that company's product.
Yeah,
so we can't really endorse that.
I can't endorse stealing, but I can if you were to find one. I don't know. Like I don't know how it works. I don't know what the official thing is, and it's just interesting that there is basically a secondary market now for things that people hated. So
right.
It's something.
Yeah, but it's literally the same as going, oh, I don't like taxis. This taxi driver's just left his cab here. I'm just gonna take that.
Yeah, that's true.
Taxi, right? It is literally no different.
Right.
It's just the sheer scale and cost and the lower cost of the item. That's it.
Yep.
That's the only difference.
Yep. I'm not saying I endorse stealing, Dave. That's not what I'm saying here.
You were quite excited about this.
I'm just saying that there is an interesting electronics in the wild situation happening.
It's different. For example, I've got one of those weather things. One of those weather not buoys. That's not the correct term. What's the the ones that go
station?
up on the balloons? They go up on the balloons.
Okay, sure.
I can't remember the name. It's Sond. They're a weather radio sonde thing, right?
Sond, like SOND?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never heard that term, but
I think it's like, I don't know, French or something. I don't know what Anyway, it means sounder. It it sends out a signal, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and they actually release tens of thousands of those around the world every day. And they're just completely disposable. Like, if you find one, it's yours, basically. They just they're fully disposable. So it's a different kind of thing, Yeah. So, and there's people who go around and they actually hunt them down. They actually
oh really?
Oh,
it's like a subculture kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a subculture thing. Yeah, they have their vans, fitted out with special antennas and receivers and stuff, and they go hunt them down live as they land and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool.
What do they have on board? And you said you have one?
Yes, I have one. It's a very low power RF transmitter. I can't remember what frequency, and they have temperature sensor, humidity sensor, pressure sensor, that kind of stuff. So
got it.
I've been meaning to do a special on it, like a video.
That's cool.
Not just tearing it down, but actually. Anyway, I won't spoil it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't steal, folks.
Don't steal. That's what Dave says. Yeah, Dave says don't steal.
Electric scooters. Hey, stuff in dumpsters are fair. If a scooter was in the dumpster, probably fair game. Yeah.
So what happens if I walk along and I throw a scooter in a dumpster?
Well, that's the dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's what? So if you deliberately find one,
this
put
is
it
not
in
a,
the
this is not an
dumpster
ethics
and then
podcast.
take it out of the dumpster. Right.
Right. Does that transform it into a
Yeah. Does it instantly make it legal to? Yeah. We'll have to join up with a legal podcast and then right.
I don't think we should.
No. Oh goodness.
So what else have you been building lately?
I did a lab. Not much. I've been dealing with crap. I got microcurrent manufacturing issues, and just business issues, which we talked about last time. And it's just all sorts of crap's happening at once, which means I have very little time to actually work on projects or stuff like that. I am working on a new microcurrent
Oh yeah.
version of that. So yeah, but it's a slow thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the things I'm allowed
Yeah.
to talk about too. Of like the.
You're allowed to talk about?
Well, I just mean like I have consulting work that I
Yes,
do, but I'm
right.
not allowed to talk about a lot of it now, and so, yeah. Did I tell you I ended up using the Picket Place again?
You were going to.
Yeah, so I did use it again, and there is actually a Neoden. Maybe I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, but there's a Neoden USA
Oh
version
yes,
now.
yeah, we talked about that the
I
other
think I
week.
did mention that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like it's so like taking a closer look inside the Neoden. It's more like a pick and play, or it's more like a CNC machine that I gave it kind of credit for in the past, and everything else is just kind of details in
Right.
there. It really like so some of my CNC experience kind of matters, but it's the hard thing that I've been dealing with is just understanding like vacuum systems now as well, and like how to. Like the repeatability pieces are just really what's difficult about all of that.
Explain.
Well, just like so, like you're picking out of a piece of tape. Like, so this is a solved problem in a lot of places, right? I mean, like this is you can go and buy a
Right,
better
of
machine,
course.
but with a simpler machine, it's like okay, so now you basically pull back the tape, the lead on the tape, and then you have an exposed pocket, and then you have to grab the thing out of there. And now it's all about like, okay, how long do you actually linger on it? So like, assuming your nozzle's in the right point and it's calibrated to be exactly in the right place all the time, then like, do you have enough suction? Do you release at the right time? Basically, like, and these things are all dialable in, right? And it's like actually something you can and should do. And now it's like basically doing that for each and every component. That's where it gets a little bit more.
If you've got to set the suction time and pressure for each component, that's painful, right?
Yeah, there's like defaults for everything, but it's not necessarily
It'd be nice if it was
work
like
for
smart.
everything.
If it realized, okay, I've just tried 3 resistors in a row or 3 of this part in a row, and all of them are fallen off because it knows it'll take it over to the camera, so it knows if it's fallen off, or it can detect the change in the pressure. Okay, it's fallen off. I need some more pressure, or something like that, or or the alignment of the pad is off, right? The little suction cup
Yeah, right.
thing is off, or So yeah, in theory, as you said, like a better quality machine can take care of that for you. In theory, it should be the machine should completely figure it out on its own.
Right. But I think usually there's a human behind it in most cases anyways, right? So that's like a set it up once and then forget it, right? But the different weights of the parts, and then this isn't a super high cost thing. So the long story short is that
What's been your part yield?
Well, so I was doing like a bunch of LEDs, and I also figured out that my solder paste application was different across the panel that I did. So I panelized a board, and then at the bottom of the panel, I was like, man, the LEDs just aren't placing on the bottom of that board. And then finally it was finished, and I pulled it out, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no paste down there. So they were just all
there's
flying
none?
off. Yeah, I just didn't
How
scrape
did you
that
get
part
no
of the.
paste at all?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I think it was the.
You didn't scrape the entire panel.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like I thought it was all good, but
That's funny.
yeah. So I am trying to find a better way to like replicate, to make like a really repeatable jig for that stuff. There is like a jig to lower your stencil and stuff like that, and they make them, right. It's not like that's a new problem to solve, but it's just I'm not gonna buy one on my own, and so I've always find like the alignment's the first problem, and then like getting it consistent over time is the next problem, and then the actual application is kind of a bit of an art itself too. I was a little bummed. I thought I had put the I put the registration holes on the actual panel, like so like in 3 of the corners I actually put drill holes, and then I swear that I put that on. I transferred that through to my my laser cut file, and then they took it out. And I was like, because I was going to use that as the actual, like, as like a peg registration inside.
Your laser cut file for what?
So like for
laser cut for what?
For the stencil. So like the.
You're actually cutting your own stencils, are you?
No. I had put the hole to cut out that same registration hole on the paste layer, right? So I had all my components
on the stent. Yeah.
And then I had these 3 big holes that I was going to use as like a way to just register like to really think about it, like
Right,
having
you're going
like
to
a
use
set
that
of pegs
as a
would be the
registration
best.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you basically slide the whole stencil over
course.
top of these 3
Yep.
pegs, and then it's automatically aligned.
Uh-huh. And then you know it's aligned. Yeah.
Right, and they took them off. I was like, what the hell? So next time.
They took them off. Really?
I got to double check.
Wow,
I am
okay.
like 85% certain that I put them on there. Sometimes like the board houses are very nice and they fix my errors. And sometimes they do stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. I thought there might have also been like they couldn't cut a big enough hole.
That's why
or
we need
something.
the T-shirt. Don't touch my Gerbers.
That's good.
Don't touch my Gerbers. Just yeah. We were going to do that.
Was that one of
shirt
the ones?
years ago?
Oh, okay. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of T-shirts over the years.
don't
Dave.
touch my Gerbers because like it's right.
Yeah.
True.
So the
Oh.
yield was okay on that. So basically, what happened a bunch. So like the LEDs were
Can
pretty
you
good.
quantify? Okay.
I would probably put it at like without much setup, probably 95% accuracy.
Okay.
Now, with the amount I probably placed 1,200 plus LEDs that day, just in one panel. So like, it was pretty significant, and I fixed them all before I actually went into the oven. The big things were like I had a lot of them where they were actually flipping up on their side, and then even though Neoden has vision, I can tell that like there's a square. It did not register that, hey, this is on its side, actually. This isn't actually a square. It's more like a
right.
multi-sided polygon because it's got the lens on it.
Right.
So it didn't quite figure that out.
Love it.
So, but otherwise, it was, I think, okay. Mostly it helped that I just slowed everything down. So I'm still bullish on the idea. It's just I didn't quite have enough time to keep chunking through and trying different things there. So there's a couple of us trying to set up like a wiki and write about it and get some tips and tricks.
Uh-huh.
It's not a huge community yet, you know what I mean?
Next thing you know, you'll be running another forum.
I know. Another forum, another conference. Why not? Come on, man. Why stop there?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had people sign up for the talks?
Yeah, it's been good so far. Probably about 15 people have signed up for talks. We're still looking for more, obviously. And what I'm really, I guess I probably should have said it last week, but
Right.
what I'm really trying to get at is like, should it be a 1 day or 2 day conference? I think it's going to be 2 day, the 26th and 27th of April.
Right.
But if you're thinking about
Is it talks on both, or is one talks and one lectures? Because some people might just want to turn up for the talks, or they might just want to turn up for the some hands-on thing or something.
lectures being like a workshop kind of thing?
Well, no, the talks. Sorry, the talks.
Oh, okay. You said like lectures and talks. I usually equate the two. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a mix of like workshops, talks.
So do I. A lecture is a talk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's going to be all those things. And then like roundtables too of like, how do you do things better? Because I think it's a lot of, best practices, and some of it will be about electronics, most of it will be about KiCad, but, it's a lot of stuff, as you know, I'm sure
Right.
you may know this, Dave, the living in your CAD program, there's a lot of like best practices there that you can learn from other people,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey, are you going to have a contest, a layout contest?
I don't know.
Give everyone a secret file and have like a prize. Have like somebody, I'm sure you can find somebody to sponsor a decent prize for the best who lays out the board the fastest and the neatest. Maybe you can have it judged, or you could have, just simply first past the post.
Huh. So fastest and neatest? That's an interesting idea. Any other?
Because there's two different, so you can decide whether or not you want to shoot for the fastest, whether you think, I know all the keyboard shortcuts, I'm the fastest in the West.
Oh, just getting to
I'm going to get this board laid out. But you have to...
to zero, like
to
rat's nest.
zero nets, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
That's an interesting idea.
And then you could probably judge, like, who's got the neatest looking, who's got the nicest looking layout.
Right. Yeah, they did that.
And everyone gets the file, at the same time. Here it is. Grab it from the server, like. Yep.
And then there could be like the
go for
what was that?
Have a contest.
There's like the equivalent of like the C obfuscation, but for layout, like the most circuitous circuit.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this is a 24-layer board, and it's
Yep.
connecting a single LED through one resistor.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that would be kind of tough to do online, but I think that in person that might be really
I think
fun.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then you could have it's something that people could boast about. Look, I won the, KiCad layout contest.
Yeah.
And actually make it a thing.
I like that a lot, Dave. I'm definitely. You know what? We're gonna call that the Dave Jones
Thank you.
contest.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
The Dave Jones Invitational.
Sounds
like
good.
like golf tournaments, right?
Yeah. Well, but then I've got to invite people, right? They all have to be approved if it's an invitational, so you can't call it an invitational. But yeah.
Well, it can't be the. I mean, if your soldering iron would have burnt down, we could have been the Dave Jones Memorial. But since you survived, then we're not going to do that.
Right. Oh boy.
Yep.
Anyway, that sounds good.
Yeah. So like stuff like that, and like I said, more talks is if people have talks ideas, would love to hear them, and then there will be more details after that, and it'll be a good bunch of nerds. So a bunch of the CERN folks are coming over, and I don't know how much I mentioned last time, but
they're coming
it's very
all
exciting.
the way over.
I'm very
They're
excited.
flying in, are they?
Mm-hmm. Yep. From Switzerland. Yep.
That's whose tax dollars is paying for that junket. Someone's tax dollars is paying for it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, there's
great.
donation money too, so I'm not sure. We'll see how that all works out.
All right.
Speaking
Cool
of
bananas.
events, there is one other event I wanted to mention. 3H has been going in lots of different cities, so now there are, I don't know how many, but there's one here, there's one in Houston, there was one in Austin. There was going to be one in Melbourne, but they didn't get back to me. One in New York, but they didn't get back to me. But Seattle's a big one, and we're always looking for more, and I'm sorry if I've missed any. But there's going to be one in San Francisco now. I hear that they make electronics there once in a while. So
They might,
hop
yeah.
on your favorite Liberated electric scooter and ride on down to the Hardware Happy Hour in San Francisco. Step 1, hack your scooter. Step 2, bring it to the meetup.
Oh, God, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think that's where the most ire happens because that's where all the startups are. But
Yeah.
like Dave says, don't steal. Do something else.
Or as long as it doesn't feel like stealing to you. As long as your conscience is clean.
That's right. Right. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart.
Right. Feels over reels, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Catch you next time.
See ya.